Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The body of Jamaican British national identified as Karen Clary Brown was discovered in a shallow grave in St. Mary yesterday. Ms. Brown was reported missing on November 27. Her body was found in a decomposed state. A Jamaican man who confessed to her killing remains in police custody. Head of the Area 2 Police, Assistant Commissioner Elbert Dougie Nelson, said the man led the police to the area where Ms. Brown's body was discovered.
Intense investigation started once the report was received, which led us to actually take someone in custody whose account of her becoming missing was not consistent. And so we pursued with some intense investigation, which he eventually confessed to having killed her. So we visited the spot and then did the exhumation. Recovered the body about 6:15 late yesterday evening, and we believe that is the body. It has been removed for post-mortem because it was in a decomposed state. So we are hoping to have an early post-mortem to have that further investigations.
ACP Nelson says investigators will charge the man who confessed to killing Ms. Brown.
Well, he has been in police custody a couple of days after the report was made. Charges will be made. In fact, before this week is done, I believe he will be officially charged. It's the killing of a human being by another human being, so chances are he'll be charged with a capital charge of murder.
Some communities in at least 2 police divisions in the corporate area were blanketed by members of the security forces last evening as the police and the military carried out targeted operations on Monday night. The police have not said much about the operations, but our sources say the lawmen will be increasing their presence in the coming week. TVJ's Anthony Logg was on location and filed this report.
When police and soldiers swooped down on several communities in the Kingston Eastern and the St. Andrew South Police Division on Monday evening, residents were caught by surprise. Armed police military personnel carried out searches as well as targeted raids at several locations for the evening. For some time, criminals have been wreaking havoc in some of these communities across these police divisions, and police sources say this will not be allowed to continue. The lawmen will be increasing their presence in these areas. Now, the Juzan community is just one of those in which the police carried out an operation on Monday night. We're being told that earlier today, there was also a murder in the community. By the time the police wrapped up their operation in Druseland, one man was taken into custody. It's still not clear if he's connected to the shooting which took place earlier that day. Our news team tried to get a comment from the police on site, but they were tight-lipped. Anthony Logg, TVJ News.
Compressed ganja valued at over $7 million was seized during an operation in Little London, Westmoreland yesterday. The ganja weighed 1,500 pounds. No one was arrested in relation to the seizure. Reports indicate at about 6:30, a team of police officers from the Area 1 Narcotics Division went to the 2-story unfinished house in Little Bay where they found 55 knitted bags containing ganja. It has an estimated street value of $7.5 million. And 5 persons are now in hospital nursing minor injuries following a 2-vehicle collision along the Rio Nuevo main road in St. Mary. The incident took place around 8:30 this morning. An eyewitness explained what happened.
The taxi, up top, was coming from Palmer end, or Rockabessa end. The other taxi was coming from Content, right at the crossing, and they come down and meet in an accident. This car turned over on the top. A few people stand by to help and turned over back.
Residents in the area took the injured persons to the hospital. In the meantime, there is also a strong warning for motorists who use the Rio Nuevo main road to drive within the speed limit.
They know say it's a crossroad. Accident happen here many times. Slow down, take caution. People cross, no pedestrian crossings here, no stoplight. Take time, just take time.
This afternoon, a call for greater help for farmers who say the lack of adequate government support is contributing to the declining interest in agriculture. TVJ's Krista Campbell reports.
I think when my age group die out, we're going to suffer from a drought in this country because the young people have not got the farming.
Concerns from a farmer in Portland who laments that successive governments have not done enough over the years to make farming more attractive to young people. Duke Cuthbert pointed to the College for Agriculture, Science and Education case in Portland, which he says has not made a satisfactory mark in getting its graduates to enter farming. We put the issue to Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw.
I'm going to be using, for instance, the agro-industrial parks that we have established and the plan that I have for self-sufficiency in food production for school feeding, for instance. I mentioned the pumpkin orchard, the sweet potato, stuff like that. I'm going to be looking into all of these things because if the young people see that it's a profitable opportunity, they will clutch on.
Meanwhile, the Portland farmer also laments that the lack of adequate financial support makes the agriculture sector less appealing.
One time, me know when I was small, I used to get a loan. I used to have people come in their project. You want to go in banana farming, you can get a little loan to borrow, or you plant it, and then when the banana come in, you bring it to the wharf, and they draw a little thing back out of it, and eventually, by the time you take a stock, you pay back for it, and you can stand on your own.
We have developed a partial credit guaranteed scheme through the DBJ, and we have to work more diligently to get cheaper funds to farmers.
The Agriculture Minister says he's also looking at ways to use dormant funds in commercial banks, which, by law, are paid over to central government after 15 years.
You could create a fund and channel low-cost interest, low-interest money to farmers and small business people to give them a better chance at survival, of being successful. Instead of them having to pay 10 and 15% to a commercial bank, you offer them money at 5 or 6% interest rate.
Until that happens, Duke Cuthbert says he's trying on his own to survive the challenges of the agriculture sector, turning to red callaloo, which he says is more resistant to a new disease which has been affecting vegetable crops for the past year.
It is genetically modified. It's a cross between beetroot and callaloo. It has a beetroot flavor, and it's also resistant to insect more than our regular callaloo. It does well in the wintertime as to the regular callaloo, so you can plant it right through the year.
He says he's trying to find a market for the new crop. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
A waste management proposal from Britain is to be explored locally. British High Commissioner to Jamaica, Asif Ahmed, briefly outlined a proposal at a recent UK-Jamaica seminar in Montego Bay, St. James. According to Mr. Ahmed, the proposal from Britain is to set up and run waste management projects which will see garbage being used to generate electricity.
The program we're talking about is going to be funded by the generation of electricity. It's not going to be an extra burden on ordinary householders and businesses in terms of, they'll basically be spending what they spend now, no more. The rest will come from other inputs.
The High Commissioner says the proposal is for operations to be set up in at least 3 areas across the island, including Montego Bay, St. James.
And that, I think, is something that I hope that the government of Jamaica will look at more seriously. And I've asked the mayor to join us in our endeavours to convince people that this is a good thing.
However, when our news team contacted the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, Executive Director Audley Gordon said the entity had not been given any information on the proposal as yet. Unemployed youth in Northwest St. Catherine will now have an opportunity to learn a skill for free. An unattached youth program was recently launched in the area.
We have the Louidersville Community Center, and that will be used for beauty therapy, early childhood education, and they have a lovely area that they'll be using also for commercial driving. And all those persons who want to know the small trucks and stuff like that, you can come on out, apply for that program. I should have mentioned that at Charlemont High School, they will be having cake baking and commercial food prep. In Linstead, this own, I think it is where? The Linstead Development Center. It's right up where KFC is. And in that place, we'll be having beauty therapy again. We'll be having also barbering, because we have a lot of barbers in Linstead.
Some persons will be paid a stipend. They almost will be paid to attend. I mean, how do you get it better than that?
Several young people signed up for the program on day one.
Tell God truth, honest truth, this program have me excited because with the music thing and thing my brother did say, we never really have that, and that is a nice opportunity for right now. I'm intrigued to find out how I go on with it. So right now I'm going to check it out after this and think.
Most of these young people like myself, we're out our jobs. At the end of the day, I'm doing something with myself, right? Than just sitting down and not doing anything.
In international news, the 41st President of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, is lying in state ahead of the state funeral at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. It's the first stop of many this week, where he will be honored for his lifetime of service to America. More from the CNN.
The 41st president lying in state at the U.S. Capitol for a fitting 41 hours until Wednesday morning. The public invited to pay their final respects. President Trump and First Lady Melania arrived at the Capitol Monday evening to say a final farewell.
My son,
where hours earlier, the Vice President, House Speaker, and Senate Majority Leader shared stories about the man who gave a lifetime of service to his country.
His life was a hymn of honor. His legacy is grace perfected.
We stand with you in mourning, but also in gratitude. Gratitude for lives well lived and duties thoroughly fulfilled.
Noted regional cricket commentator and analyst Fazir Mohammed believes the current generation of West Indies players are ruining the legacy of the Caribbean nation. Mr. Mohammed was speaking in the aftermath of the West Indies' crushing second test defeat to Bangladesh. The West Indies lost by an innings and 184 runs to surrender the test series 2-0. The Trinidadian also called for a more conservative approach from Guyanese batsman Shimron Hetmyer. Hetmyer topped the series for all batters with 222 runs in 4 innings at an average of 55.5 with 2 half-centuries, but Mohammed argues the young batsman needs a different approach. Mr. Mohammed was speaking on Hits 92 FM's Sports Grill on Monday with host Simon Croskill. New champions will be crowned in the Issa Urban Era Netball, while Denby looks to retain their title when the finals get underway today at the Leela Robinson Courts. Norman Manley will take on Gainstead in the junior final starting at 3:15. Norman Manley prevailed against last season's champions St. Catherine High 31-27 in the semi-final, while Gainstead dismissed St. Hugh's 39-17 in their encounter to advance to the final. In the senior category, last season's beaten finalist Gainstead will meet St. Catherine High at 4:15. St. Catherine High registered a 37-31 win against defending champions Excelsior, while Gainstead had a comprehensive win 43-26 in reaching the final. Meanwhile, Homewood Technical will retain their senior title when they play Denby High starting at 2:15. Homewood had a 49-36 win over Glenmuir, while Denby had a comfortable 44-20 win over St. Thomas Technical. In the junior, Homewood also moved into the final and will also play Denby at 1:15. Homewood advanced after beating Manchester High 22-18, while Denby got by Porus 23-17. And that's Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for Primetime News on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.